Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. This is probably going to be a long one, which will not be the best for me, considering that I've been in and out of vocal rest for a few days. So yeah, in case you don't know, the whole family has been sick with different things, depending on, I think, for some of us when we came back from Leon, others that even though they must have caught it whenever they weren't even there, and others were just even after that fact. I don't know how it works basically, but yeah, depending on the time and place, we've all been feeling under the weather in different ways, and the ways that has affected me has been with what I presume to be a cold and not allergies, because of the season that we're in, and also because of the fact that it was accompanied by headaches, and that doesn't usually go along with the usual sniffles that I would actually get from allergies or sneezes. That being said, who knows? I was in the forest before that point. Maybe I picked up some pollen or something like that. No idea. And I'm back here again. I'm not in the same location, by the way. It's a different footpath that I don't normally go down. So yeah, because actually we tend to just see this part and then we never really go past it. I forget that there's actually a public footpath right next to the sign that says private property, and it's not just, yeah, anyway, whatever. I don't have enough time to ramble. It's a football field. Anyways, right, so to start off with, a lot of interesting stuff has happened this week. I thought to myself, yeah, I've been essentially just grinding away at the new gacha series, like I said I was going to last week, if you remember the struggles that I had with that, and the frustrations that I had sustained by proxy from Aiden, and from just Gacha Life 2 in general being the thing that it is. I reckon I've got another week of that, and then that was when the PC release of Gacha was promised. That's my Halloween treat that I'm looking forward to, is the actual release of the app itself. Yeah. But of course I can't give up, because again, I'm trying to be the first, and therefore I keep going. I haven't checked recently whether or not that's even still possible or not. I honestly should. But yeah, I haven't. That's the unfortunate of that. The misfortune of that, I should say. It's not a word, the unfortunate. As if unfortunate was a noun. No, it's not. Oh, wow. Yeah, we really have not been down this path before. I mean, I can tell I'm going to have to climb a hill later, but yeah. Okay, this'll do. Yeah. So I have been doing that, but I thought for some reason that meant that this was going to be a very boring video, and that nothing much actually happened, but yeah, to my eternal surprise, it did. I mean, of course, the streams, there was a lot of streams that were, I would say some of the more interesting things that I have been either holding back on, or some things that were much more recent. There was the eternally recommended Celestial Academia, which turned out to be disappointing, but yeah, from what I remember, it was just okay, but maybe I'm getting that wrong. Maybe I freaked out and I'm just forgetting about it already, which is a sign of quality right there. There was also the Minecraft review that we did. That was this week as well. My Passion Episode 2. That one was more of a letdown. And then of course, Fallen Angels, because Fallen Angels Season 2 Episode 8 came out. So yes, one of the Mutant Girl crossovers, which we recorded quite some time ago, and I forgot was actually happening in that episode. Yeah, that came out, and actually, yeah, people have had mixed feelings about that. Because there are some things that worked about it, some things that didn't. If you haven't seen the video, basically, what really does work is the combined theme of the two series. So the first time we had a crossover in Season 1, Episode 8, it was essentially, you know, the excuse was that they were fugitives, but, you know, they actually decided, okay, we're going to risk it just this once, and we're going to try and see if, Alana's extended family was actually at risk, and it turns out it wasn't. And then, lo and behold, it's Mrs. Dysart, who was hinted to be Alana's aunt, but in a way that, unless you knew that the two series were connected beforehand, which we didn't tell anyone, then you wouldn't pick up on it on the first viewing. And then, at that point, when we actually combined the two shows, and the two protagonists alone in a room together, we just had them sat in awkward silence for a bit, because, what else are they going to do? Because, they didn't have much to talk about in the moment until they sort of stumbled on some common ground. Even then, one of them had to be secretive about it, the other one, the secret was incredibly obvious, so they found common ground, but for the exact opposite reasons. That's the thing people forget about Fallen Angels and the Mutant Girl, or what I guess Aiden in the early days forgot about, was the fact that, actually no, he didn't forget about it. It was a few other people who compared the two shows, because they used to get a lot of comparisons with each other, and they still sort of do to this day. But the thing they forgot was that they are very different in tone and style. Yes, they're connected, but there isn't even Florida set in Canada, not in Florida itself, is because I knew that they needed breathing space. Not only because I didn't want the supernatural stuff to mully the theme of the Mutant Girl series itself, even if it does exist in the same universe, but also because that show needed to be its own thing and not open itself up to the risk of more crossovers than it actually needed. Oh wow. I'm impressed this is a public footpath. I'm surprised because it doesn't look like it, but the sign said. Signs don't lie. Right. Sorry, I'm just concentrating because the path is a bit precarious here. The stairs are not very... Well, look at them. I just went down that. You know what I mean. But yeah, Fallen Angels the Mutant Girl. That was very different things made by the same people. Which honestly is what it needed to be. So yeah, the crossovers, we were very... That was actually my insistence, that the crossover would be a very awkward affair, because yes, it would be. Like, there's not like they were going to connect instantly. However, this time, the opposite thing happened, because it wasn't the main characters, Adam and Morwenna, who were connecting. It was actually... Good grief, I'm not coming this far down again. Mud everywhere. I should have brought my other walking shoes. Well, I guess just the ones that are called walking shoes rather than just the shoes I use for walking, which is, I don't know why they call it that. Anyway. Yeah, this time it was actually Ava and Geneva. So, the mother of the main... Actually, the mothers of the two main protagonists. Except, of course, one of them is relatively new to just the world in general and trying to reconnect with a child that she has not seen in 200 years and grew up more than she ever imagined she would get to see, versus Geneva, who's been there from the beginning but has had a very difficult time. So yeah, that conversation was very natural because the theme of motherhood is universal. But for every other reason, it was essentially like, hey, let's go to a concert. And it wasn't really like the crossover was built on a solid foundation. And that was the problem. Speaking of problems, I need to remember the way up from here. Pretty sure it's this way. Oh dear, the climb begins immediately. Alright. At least there are no cars on this road for now. So yeah, that was the issue with that crossover. Then there was also, what other things did we watch? Oh, there was Disco Pop's Revival, which I neglected for 3 weeks, accidentally, of course. I didn't realise that they were out until I forgot to review them entirely. Car coming. That's the thing. I'm on a. You're supposed to, over here, you're supposed to go on the right hand side of the road so you can see any cars that are coming towards you. But yeah, it's so narrow that even if they're from behind, if they're coming from behind, they might not have that much space or be using them. That was actually a responsible person who was using that space, but anyway, just in case. I need to go back up the hill, don't I? It's better when I'm not holding a phone. But anyway. Oh! Someone said hi-oh to me. Don't know if they know me, it was just the camera. You never know, walking with a camera is always interesting. There's a public footpath there. But also, I've been down this path here. I'm pretty sure. I think I'm familiar with this place. It's another public footpath. I think I came here to do some filming once. That's another thing I got to talk about this week. It's going to possibly... This is something that people don't actually know about. But yeah, basically, last night after we finished the stream of the Blues Pops, which was another letdown, unfortunately. But yeah, we went back to that because Disco Pop Survival had a spoiler for the ending of Blues Pops, and so the idea was, of course, to catch up. So I didn't realise I still had a ways to go with that too. It used to be a thing that I did like lots of things that were pop related, and then suddenly just not anymore. Also, I think this is the wrong neighbourhood. I did not film in this location. But where I did film was somewhere else entirely, which was because we were talking about, I can't remember how we got onto the subject, but we got the subject, Ghosty and I, after the stream of like, you know, old channels that you don't hear about. Oh, it was because we were looking up TV tropes, and at one point an example that came up on tvtropes.com of a thing we were looking up, which was the flashback, you know, yep, that's me trope. The freeze frame record scratch, yep, that's me, I meant to say. That was but Mumpkey Jones actually came up. If you don't remember, Mumpkey Jones was/is a YouTuber whose original channel was taken down, and now there's a channel called Simmy and Jimmy, where I'm pretty sure the format is that that Mumpkey's girlfriend uploads the videos, and Mumpkey doesn't actually have the password to it, and that's the legal loophole as far as the new videos come out, because they're re-uploads from the website mumpkeyjones.com. That's my understanding, at least, anyway. But yeah, back in the day, Mumpkey was a very controversial and edgy YouTuber. I'm gonna go on this way. And that manifested itself in almost every single video, to the point where eventually what was referred to as called the Susaning took the channel down. Some videos that should not have been targeted, like private uploads that were a test upload for one person with nothing really in them, got flagged and taken down. Very unfortunate situation. And then but then eventually managed to actually bounce back in some other form. And yeah, and one thing that happens, I think that happened after that point, was there were the film competitions because Mumkey / Simmy Jimmy is a huge fan of amateur film and did plenty of amateur films when he was in high school and university. And so, inspired by some of the film competitions that he himself has entered before, he set out his own film competitions with specific rules to abide by, and I actually participated in the 3rd biannual Mumkey Jones film competition. And that was the year where the theme was mystery, the line was I can't remember, and the character's name had to be Dakota. Some people who are watching this that might be like OGs will remember this stuff, but basically I tried to be a bit cheeky and surprising, mostly because you know me, I love to subvert expectations, and so I decided the mystery was going to be a treasure hunt that came from a mysterious ghost figure from 1906 that set out a treasure within the city, or town, I suppose. Yeah. So technically that counts, and the character's name was Phineas Dakota, so the character's still named Dakota, and even says in the film, Dakota, I am Dakota, but yeah, they, obviously, that was me again, trying to be a little bit subversive, and then even to cover up my tracks, I said, The Lost Treasure of Phineas Dakota in the title. Also because I love the name Phineas, that's another reason. So, that happened, and we filmed it, and it was uploaded on this channel. The thing was that to upload it, it would be within 6 minutes, no copyrighted music, and then it could be sent off in a link to a specific email address. We didn't win. We didn't feature in the runner-ups at all, but we had fun. Honestly, we did better than I expected, because basically, like, after that competition was announced while I was actually on holiday, and so I had time to write the script while I was away, and then I immediately came back and recruited 2 members of the drama club that I was in, and then we oh my goodness, it's going downhill again. I don't want to climb a second time. We're gonna go back round again. Let's see what that other public footpath is like. But yeah, that was my one and only scripted live action video. The only reason it's not up anymore is because Beanie Boy was actually in it, and he wanted his face to be privated. So I said, yeah, okay, we'll take these ones down. I say these ones because there was also a blooper reel and behind the scenes video. So yeah, a lot of context there. But basically, it was interesting, like, watching that back with Ghosty, because it cemented something very strange. Well, I guess not so strange at all when you think about it. It's like what Dumbledore says. Actually, if I think about it, it's not curious at all. Yeah. Basically, Ghosty clearly identified that a few things had changed about my creative works, but a lot of stuff had stuck. Like I mentioned, subverting expectations. Bear in mind, this was a year before The Mutant Girl. It was like, I don't think The Mutant Girl was even a concept in my head. I don't think I'd heard of Gotcha at that point. I'd heard of that, I was doing my wiki phase, and the theories phase, but you know, that was the main thing going on the channel at the time. So yeah, it would eventually lead me down that path, but yeah, I like to think about it. There's some things in there, like there's a particular line where the main character, well, one of the main characters, specifically doesn't believe that when Dakota shows up, that he's actually who he says he is. So I was like, oh yes, well I suppose that I just happened to know that you had a treasure map and all that stuff and blah blah blah, and just basically sassed him the same way that whenever Aiden writes something dumb in a Fallen Angels line, and I have a character call it out. I just cut out the part where that was a setup on purpose. And then also a few things like you know, my first foray into anything camera related, obviously. And as far as Mutant Girl stuff goes, I think the major thing was some of the vocabulary, because the other actress that we had couldn't pronounce a few of the words that I actually wrote in, so we worked around that. I either just remove the word entirely or replace things like plagiarizing with copying. You know, basic stuff like that. It's a very pleasant neighborhood. Actually, maybe I should film something over here. Good lord. Yeah. And then I guess just the nature of the stuff that I make sort of feels the same, the same kind of humor, and ultimately the same primitive way of showing it at the time. So it was kind of interesting because I never actually made that connection. That was the first scripted thing, other than a few video scripts for Aftermath theories, that was just me speaking, that I had done. I'd written some scripts before, because by that point I'd already done my drama GCSE, where I had to adapt the entire play of Macbeth, and then abridge it to 30 minutes, which is harder than you would think. I mean, you try and cut down Shakespeare stuff. What was the other footpath I was going to go down? Was it this way? No, it was that way. Not easy. So yeah, we had that, and and also what was I going to say? I'm going to run out of space soon, but yeah. But also, I was never that good at writing scripts initially. No, it was definitely somewhere else. It wasn't that footpath, it was the other, it was a different one. Yeah. So for years, I actually struggled with writing scripts. There's a few preliminary ones where I was trying to write stage plays, and they were bad. Very bad. Basically, I was able to write books and little else at the time. So I thought that, so it's a surprise that in 2019 I ended up pivoting away from a lot of the books that I was writing and then focusing on scripts. Mostly because of how the first Mutant Girl episode performed, which then cemented everything, into my creative path until this very day. Okay, there, I see it now. I see the path. That's where I meant to go. Straight ahead. Yeah, so I still remember the one that I tried to write about the relatives of Santa Claus, and the way that I just changed St. Nicholas's origin to match up with the origin of Jesus, trying to connect the two of them, not knowing that is basically the plot of Life of Brian without the jokes, because I had not seen Life of Brian at that point. Anyway, enough about that. Yeah, so that script, of course, the video had to be under 6 minutes, or 6 minutes or under, I should say. So, basically, yeah, not exactly my best work, considering how rushed it had to be and how we had to perform it all in one go. I think, with voice acting, that is a far better process, and something that, we're able to pull off much more easily. Because with Mutant Girl Season 1, it was mostly directed in calls, so the voice actors would, in the script, and I would be able to give the context immediately. And nowadays, they can read the script at their leisure, or Control F to find their lines, which actually got me into a bit of an issue recently with finding some lines, because because I was recording some lines for Bon, and basically because that was some Taylor lines for the next Eagles of the Plex episode, and yeah, like they started off fine, because again I was trying to recover, so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to record the character who sounds exactly like me first, so I don't have to put on a voice of any kind. I love this. Access privilege except for the use of the public footpath, which is right behind that sign. Well, okay. I guess I will ensure that I'm still on this footpath, which anyone around, and therefore the only one that it can be. Right. No, I see there's a deviation because there's one there, but that's to leave, I suppose. There's fences everywhere too. What was I saying? Oh yes, recording for Bon. Yeah, then it turns out that the nature lines were out quite a lot of projection, and basically like the tone ended up being like very serious and very intense. So it wasn't exactly the recovery into voice acting I was expecting, and that's a downhill path again. Right, we're going the other way. I'm going to continue to climb this hill, not descend it once more. And then I also did some things for Aiden's upcoming series, which is only 4 days away. So I'm pretty much, unless I power through and speed run the whole process, I am going to have to eventually admit defeat and hand over that crown position to Aiden, whose video is completely done, by the way, and it is a pure Gacha Life 2. So basically, unless someone else comes out with a different video before me, that's going to be it. The record shall go to Aiden. Which, since I made that video, I sort of came to terms with. Is it still annoying that he essentially abandoned me and immediately went back into his own thing, and is also still calling me to request that I either send in lines or complete the script with him. Even to this day, he actually asked me last night, "Hey, are you ready to write on Thursday for more episodes 4 and onwards, and also recording for 2 and 3." Because yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, when he's got a recording that's done in batches, and you know, when it's his thing that's supposed to be the fast thing to produce, that yeah, of course it's all go, and it was for a bit with my thing as well, because we did all the lines and cast all the characters not way before, but slightly before Gacha Life 2 came out. Yeah. That was our speedrun process. So yeah, but it's amazing when it's his thing, it's go until the very end, even beyond what we've done. But when it's my thing, oh no, we're going to wait until the PC release. That still stings. But I've come to peace with the fact that, you know, at least I was the co-writer on the thing that will probably eventually take the record, and also that it's someone that I know and someone that deserves a Gacha record of some kind in general, not for what's happened this week, but for what's happened over the past few years. I mean, if anything, like I said before with Foreigners and Amusement Girl, the issue that he has sometimes is that he ends up, I almost don't want to say it, but he ends up sometimes, by popular virtue, playing second fiddle to me. That's not how I see him at all, but it's how a lot of the stuff comes out, because even before Fallen Angels was cemented to be in the same universe, I guess people knew it was a Butterverse thing, because we mentioned it to some people behind the scenes, but the ones who didn't know at the time, they still compared it to the Mutant Girl, because Aiden was connected to me. I was the one who persuaded to try Gacha, and even though Fallen Angels was his idea, I was just co-writing for it. There was sort of a precedent for that too. I believe that back there is the power grid, therefore this way is the way back. Okay. Yeah. So, and I remember he said at one point that that he was that he's never going to be like achieve the same level as Rosie Closey or like or Bon or even me. He said he'll be the next me at some point. Like, the fact that that's ingrained into him, because I mean, in the grand scheme of things, who am I? I'm just a guy who tries to be the first at stuff sometimes, and then evolve the craft. My only claim really is that some of the, I guess that I've tried to invent certain editing techniques, and also try to push Gacha forward in my own simple way, which has affected some people, but again, grand scheme of things, not so many. But yeah, because Aiden's been compared to me for so many years, that's the precedent. I was listed along with those people. But yeah, that's But again, Fallen Angels has achieved stuff. Oh my goodness, that the Mutant Girl never could. I mean, admittedly, he calls on me for a lot of the philosophical stuff, but he set up a series where that was even allowed to be explored. I don't see Morwenna and crew coming to terms with, you know, the nature of the existence, or pondering the ethics of death itself. And again, like I said, the tone is vastly different. I think it was only really recently with KW choosing to react to Fallen Angels, and Josh and some other people all around the same time reacting to Fallen Angels specifically, where it's where it kind of was allowed to like thrive on its own, and the discourse has switched now to how Fallen Angels is by itself. And people are getting very invested into it. It's like the guests that KW has on there, in their own way, are keen to consume more of the story. And not to mention as well that Fallen Angels is vastly quickly developing an OST. Admittedly, a lot of that is actually again due to my influence, but again, not all of it. I mean, the last episode that came out, the one that came out on Saturday, has a new song that's not by me in any way whatsoever, and it's actually from a character that I tried to debut 4 years ago, and Aiden finally made it happen with the original person who was set to voice him. So yeah, there was a lot that happened this week. I was gonna go on a whole spiel about the fact that I finally saw Love, Simon, but I've got 3 minutes of storage space left. If people don't know, Leon Talks Sheena in 2018 made a video about the comments associated with the film Love, Simon after it came out. But it was comments from the trailer specifically, and about like the responses, because that was when he was doing his series of Exposing Idiots, which became Exposing Hate Speech. And yeah, that was the one that was performing particularly well, especially like, you know, it fit well with the climate of YouTube in 2016 to 18 time. But yeah, I kind of thought, well, I mean, what is this film like? I was curious for all these years, because the video didn't really say anything. I'm not sure that the audience even saw it, and then it just happened to be on TV. So I saw most of it, and yeah, it's interesting that some people thought the trailer gave away what the story was about. No, it ended up becoming about blackmail, and well, it was about someone's journey to coming out and having that somewhat wrenched from them, but not entirely. But also, yeah, essentially someone threatening to out them if they didn't help them. It's like Phoenix dropped days if Kiori was actually just a monster. Or Hunter was a monster. One of the two. Either way, someone will be the monster in that situation. Because yeah, and then makes it so that the other person does that ruins their, you know, friendships and relationships in order to actually help the other person who was going to out them otherwise. It was actually pretty harrowing to actually see that kind of thing go by, and the dread that the romantic side was going to, like, because basically the guy doing the blackmail likes a girl who's in the friendship group of the guy of Simon. Essentially, like, the whole thing was supposed to be that he meets a guy online who writes that he's secretly gay, and then starts like emailing back and forth. And that almost becomes the B story for a bit. As soon as the blackmail stuff comes up, it's like, oh yeah, suddenly, you know, this guy likes this girl, and for a while it seems like things are going well thanks to Simon and his sabotage. So yeah, that was I was worried it was going to go down the path of the, you know, Netflix adaptations that came in subsequent years, where horrible people were rewarded for being horrible. And no, I'm pleased to say that didn't happen. It's actually possible to follow along with someone who never actually gets a redemption and then follows through with what you knew they were going to do in the first place, and then making like a bit of a gesture at the end, but not to the point where they're forgiven at all. So yeah, actually, and then there's some cheap Hollywood jokes that you get kind of the time with a lot of American comedies as well, which I will not get into because I don't have time. But yeah, the point is, very interesting week, and I guess I haven't been powering through as much as I potentially could. But either way, I'm just going to still give it my best effort and see if I can sustain that record after all, and also find a better path up this hill than the one that I am on currently. There's some stairs there, I can see them. So yeah, please leave a like or dislike because your opinion matters. Subscribe if not already. And on that note, until next time, farewell.